Yesterday I started Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I got all the way to the final boss, and that game ended with me spiking my controller on the ground. And maybe that's why the controllers. No, it's not it. You're working your way through Doom. Awesome. I'm glad you're back at that one. I hope you're enjoying it. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It's this game that has reached almost, I don't know if mythical status is the right term for it, but it was a good beat 'em up at the time, during a time when the genre was dead. It had the retro art, which wasn't as prevalent as it is today, and beat 'em ups definitely were long dead. And people liked it, and it was fun. It was based on a movie that was kind of slept on. And then at a certain point, the game got removed from all of the digital marketplaces, and you couldn't get this game anymore. And it built like this sort of cult following and people demanding that the game come back, and it finally did. And is it worth it? In certain ways, yes. I think that if you are looking for a decent beat 'em up, it's fine. I think there are better ones you can play these days. I think that River City Girls is a better game. I have not played Streets of Rage 4. From what I've seen, it's probably a bit better. I think that Scott Pilgrim has some fundamental challenges in the way that it's built. Some of the big ones are the level design. It's way too long, like 20-25 minutes per level, and if you lose all your lives, then you're just gone. You have to go all the way back to the beginning. You die at the boss, you have to start at the beginning of these insanely long levels, and it's incredibly frustrating when you get 3 stocks of lives, and let's say you lose 1 in the first level. Now you've got 2 stocks, and you can get really far, get to the next boss, die, and then have to start the level all over again. And in a certain way, it's actually better for you to just die at the beginning of the level so that you can come back with more lives. Like, yes, fighting all that way isn't entirely a waste because you level up, you can buy power-ups, and I would strongly suggest buying, like, just burning all your money at whatever shops you get to at any given time, because you can only go into a store once, and at a certain point there's just no more stores. So level up as much as you can. Makes the game a little easier. So yeah, the pacing of the game is really off, where yeah, every time I beat a level, I wouldn't have enough stocks to then beat the next one, so I would inevitably die and then have to play that entire thing all over again. And then once I got to the final boss, I ran into some issues with the controls, and something that doesn't really come into play until the very end of the game is that, like, you can control the game with both the analog stick and the D-pad. The problem is, on the D-pad you get like more precise digital movement, but you have to double tap every time if you want to like to dash, for example, and you dash a lot in that game, so it's easier to just use the stick and just move really hard. The problem is, if you want to like grab someone or do the special moves that require you to do like forward and A or what have you, the analog stick is really mushy and inconsistent with that. Like, there was a move that on the D-pad, it's just up and A, right? No, up and Y. And I could hit it every single time on D-pad, could not hit it on the analog stick. Like, I would have to hold the analog stick up for a second and then press the button for it to go. And once you get to the final boss and it requires you to move in a very specific way, it's like, oh, now I have to like jump between the 2 things, or like I'm just constantly worse at one or the other. And yeah, by the final portion of that thing, I was just getting repeatedly punched in the face by the final boss, and I couldn't dodge. I probably could beat it with, multiple players, or if I tried it again, I could power through it, but I'm just very frustrated by it right now. Anyway, how about some Tetris, guys?